Hello, and welcome to another episode of Rewiring Health. So today I'm going to talk to you about why your phone may be your biggest contributor to your stress levels. And I'm not just talking about what you're reading on your phone or watching on your phone. Of course, we know if you're watching a lot of negative things on Instagram or Facebook, or you're following the news, that can absolutely impact your feelings and your nervous system. But today I'm specifically talking about why just your visual system and how you use your eyes is contributing to your stress levels. So our eyes are an extension of our brain. They're the only part of our brain that is exposed to the external world. It is a sensory organ in which we take in all the information around us, and it sends that information to our brain to interpret as to what it needs to do and how it needs to respond. So when we experience anything that's stressful, what our eyes do in a response to that is that they dilate and become very narrow focused. So if we were to go for a hike and see a bear in the woods, our visual system would respond to that because it would become very narrow focused, and it would essentially send a message to the brain that there's something that I need to protect myself against, and we need to respond appropriately. Basically get all the troops on board and get this stress response going, because I either need to run from this bear, I need to freeze in some cases, or I need to fight this bear. So it's the fight, flight, and freeze response of your nervous system, also known as the sympathetic response. So again, our visual response and the stress response go hand in hand. What happens is that this is a very reciprocal relationship. So just like our brains interpreted, oh my gosh, there's something I need to protect myself from, let's change our visual field. So let's narrow it down and make our eyes dilated. The same thing happens is that if we dilate our eyes and narrow our focus, it sends a message to our brain that there's something that we need to experience stress against. So there's something we need to protect against. Let's get that stress response going. So when we're on our phones for an extended period of time, and of course our phones are a small screen, what happens is that our visual field becomes very narrowed down. So we're narrowed down, focusing on this small screen, and our eyes dilate. So it's the same response that we get as if we were running from the bear. And when our brains have that going on, when our eyes are narrowed for a long period of time, and we have that dilation of our eyes to take in that information from our phone, our brains interpret that as, oh my gosh, there's something stressful that's going on. Our eyes are responding in a stress response. So we therefore have to also respond in this like sympathetic fight, flight, and freeze response. So just the narrowed focus of being on a phone, not even what you're taking in on the phone, can cause this stress response. So that's why it's so important that, of course, our phones are an integral part of our lives today. We can't get rid of them. That's not a realistic solution. But what we need to do is understand that our visual field is very adaptable. And we also need to be aware of how long we're staying in that narrow focused viewing, because our brain is going to respond accordingly. So if you're on your phone for an extended period of time, what you want to do is provide your brain with a stimulus that says, nope, we're in a relaxed state. We can calm this down. This is not a stress response. So we actually want to give our visual field the opposite response. So we want to have constriction of our pupils and a more of like a panoramic view, a wide range view in our eyes. And one way we can do that, if you're in an office and you're on a screen for a long day, or you're inside, you can go to a window and gaze far out in the window and find a point somewhere further away. And that's actually going to help you get your visual field in a place that's not so narrow focused. A better way to allow your brain to respond in a more parasympathetic or rest, digest, and restore way, which is that kind of counterpart to the sympathetic response, is to go for a walk. That's actually going to be more of a benefit. So when we walk, what happens is that we get into this optic flow. So our eyes are interpreting more of a peripheral view. So we're taking in a large view, which means that our pupils become more constricted, but they have a larger visual field, which to our brains is a relaxing state. It's saying to our brain, there's nothing to worry about. We're having a more parasympathetic response. We can calm everything down. And that alone can decrease your stress response. So we have to use just our visual system and be aware of what our visual system is telling our brains in order to balance that response. So again, two things you can do are looking out at a distant point and doing that at least for 30 seconds. Allow your eyes to relax and take it in. That can be a quicker transition. It is not the best way, but if you are stuck inside and you can't get outside, it's better than nothing. But ideally, what you want to do if you're on your phone for an extended period of time is get outside, allow yourself to look around your periphery, go for a walk, just your ability to move your body in a space where you're having different visual inputs come in. So as you walk, again, your visual input is changing. Your brain, again, will interpret that as a relaxation state, and that will allow you to calm your nervous system down. So that's a huge tool you can do if you're on your phone for a long period of time. But I do want to warn you, and I was guilty of this for the longest time. I have changed it, and it serves me much better. If you're the person who goes for a walk or you're outside and you're on your phone while you're doing that, you're basically defeating the purpose of that. So if you're going to still be looking at your phone while you're walking outside, where's your visual focus? It's probably down at your phone and what you're doing. So you're still facilitating a sympathetic response, even though you're walking. So you may think you're doing something that's really helping yourself, but in the long run, you're really not doing much to change your nervous system's response. You're still giving it the stimulus that it has this narrowed focus and it still needs to be in this stress response. So next time you go for a walk, put your phone away, put it down, put it on silent. Don't even let it disturb you. Give yourself a moment to allow your nervous system to get into a more relaxed state. So don't be looking at the phone. Allow yourself to look around you. Allow the visual fields to be changing, to the visual stimuli to be changing, and you to have a more peripheral view. That will allow you to have a more relaxed state. So again, when we're on our phones, what happens is that we tend to notice, and notice this next time you're on your phone for a long period of time. I bet you notice that maybe your anxiety increases. You may feel more stressed out. You may feel more hypervigilant and maybe even more irritable. Those are all signs that your nervous system is going to this sympathetic response. It's that fight, flight, and freeze response. And even though a bear is not typically something we need to worry about, it's the same stress response that we're getting when we are on our phones, when we are taking in negative information, when we are stressed at work, when we are stressed in our car. Any kind of stress is essentially our bear now, that in modern times. So now we have to do things to allow our systems to relax after we have that stress response. So using the visual system and its direct connection to the brain, its extension of the brain, is a great way to just start to allow your nervous system to calm down, allow yourself to get into a better state, and to allow yourself to have clarity of thought, to not feel as anxious, to not be as hypervigilant, and to decrease your irritability. It really will serve you better. So again, take home from this and let me know if you have any different take homes, but the take home is to be aware of how long you're on your phone. If you notice you are on your phone for a long period of time, make sure you get outside and go for a walk without looking at your phone. And that will allow you to have a more balanced state. So hopefully you will implement this into your daily routine. It really will serve you well. Even if you can get out for a few minutes, you'll notice that your nervous system will be in a different state than if you were sitting inside on your phone or even just walking on your phone. Allow the device to be put away for a moment. Allow your eyes to open up to what's around you and for your nervous system to respond appropriately. and in conjunction with what stimulus you're giving it. So let me know if that serves you. And if you do implement this, let me know how it goes. I think you'll notice a huge difference in your stress levels. And if you haven't done so well already, please subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of tips for how to help regulate the nervous system. I also have a lot of great guests that share some impactful stories. So please subscribe, please like, share this with anyone you think would benefit. And let me know how it goes in the comments. I'd love to hear from you.